All right. Hey, Middle States.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
It's week 4.
Yay.
Are you sad that it's week 4?
Yes.
Oh, me too. It's gone by so fast, right? So fast. And we are just blown away. And we'll talk more about this on Friday night, but we're just blown away at the level of participation from everybody over these last 4 weeks. And it's really just the beginning, right? This is really just the beginning. All of this is to help you. So it's not an ending this week. We're going to celebrate. And then everything that we've talked about over the last 4 weeks, you'll get to start doing with your chapter. And start being that engaged chapter that we know that you all can and will be. It's an exciting evening tonight. We're going to be talking to, listening from the experts on College Project, and that's Miss Jennifer Stanford, and we'll talk to her in a few minutes. And we'll also talk about some of the things that you've done this past week, and then looking forward. It's a short week, really, right? Because we're just going to be together until Friday, and we still have Unit 10 that's going to load for leadership development, empowering others, right? So if you notice that all of the units that we've have selected for these 4 weeks all have to do with you becoming a leader, and then also how you can set goals and articulating your chapter's vision and your vision. And now it's about, we're right on time with just doing, empowering others as Unit 10, and that's how you will empower others. There's so many favorite words in PTK that I have, right? Engage. Engage means, you yourself engaging and then engaging others. And my other favorite word is empowering, right? So as advisors empower their chapters to get involved and engaged, and as you empower your fellow members and other students on your campus, it's just such it's a wonderful feeling, right? And it's why we love Phi Theta Kappa. It could be something as a small service activity that you chapter always does for your college because they request it, but just to see change happening and just being a part of something bigger than ourselves is just really the spirit of Phi Theta Kappa and why we all do this. So I'm gonna share my screen. I think I'm allowed to share my screen. PG?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
What is it? It's brand new today. It was never like this. Okay. All righty. So let me, I am like brand new at being able to see. There we go, from the beginning. So here we are. Week 4, welcome. And I think most of our whole team is here. I know, you know me, I'm Patty, the regional coordinator. Our associate regional coordinators, if they're here, they can shout out from the state of Delaware, Mr. Mike McCluskey.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Monday, right?
Happy Monday. I feel like I haven't talked to you forever, so
it's been a bit, Patty. Miss you.
I miss you too. From the state of Maryland, the Community College of Baltimore County, Dr. Linda Gronberg Quinn is with us this evening.
Good evening, everybody. It's a little stormy here, so hopefully the internet stays on.
I will hope that. That's been happening a lot lately, right? I think with everybody using the internet, and then when a storm rolls in, forget it. So we'll do the best we can. Good luck. And from representing the state of New Jersey, Professor Gasparino from Passaic County Community College.
Hey, everybody.
Yay. And Dr. Sarah Ibsen is our Associate Regional Coordinator for the state of Pennsylvania. We have our the stars of our show. They are really our student leaders and what powers us to do all these things. And we're so super proud of them. And remember, they haven't met each other yet. They were elected in a virtual convention. They have not, though they know each other, they have not been in the same room once since they took the oath of office. And I give them a lot of credit. I'm super proud of them and some of the work and some of the thoughts that they have put forth, and really super proud. So starting with your Middle States President, Ms. Brianna Barone.
Thanks, Patty, for such a sweet word.
Yay, thanks, sweetie. From the Alpha Zeta Kappa chapter, your Delaware State President, Ms. Bella.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Bella. Your Maryland, DC President, Ms. Rachel Mickle.
Hi, everybody.
Who's really good at the Padlets. You should read some of the things that she writes, and she represents Omicron Pi. Really amazing stuff. Really proud of her.
Thanks, Patty.
You're sweet. Our Pennsylvania State President, Mr. Evan Meister from Beta Beta Chi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Evan. Evan shared with us something that he was creating. I hope you get to see more of what he does. What was it that you created? It was an art. Go ahead.
It was a model of a fountain. I'm still working on it. I have to texture the whole thing. I can post it in the chat if you guys want.
Yeah, post it. It's just absolutely amazing. We saw that after the talent show the other night, which, by the way, I don't care what anyone says, we have the most talent in the Middle States region. You missed out seeing the talent show. It was really good. It was a lot of fun. And our New Jersey State President, Miss Candace Junta.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Candace. That's your Middle States Regional Officer team for 2020. And I'm not sure who is and who isn't on. So I changed the slide a bit. I wanted to take a moment here in week 4 to really thank the members of the Middle States Regional Alumni Association. Their theme this year is Be the Difference. And oh my goodness, they have been a huge part of the success of this program, and more about them on Friday. But I just wanted to give them a big shout out because they have done a lot of work, volunteered a lot of time. And I want to thank Ryan and all of the executive board and the Alumni Association for all of their hard work. So thank you to all of them for what you've done. And they're with us again tonight, and you'll be seeing them in the breakout rooms. And week 3. Right? Week 3. Last week, we focused on chapter engagement, right? Week 1 was us learning a little bit about PTK. Week 2 was, learning about member engagement, because we believe that members, when they engage in PTK, is crucial to an engaged chapter, right? So the more you know about PTK and the benefits and what you can do and what the multitude of things that are out there, and how to engage with others on your campus, right? We then move into that chapter engagement, and that was We Are MSR. You know that. I am, we are MSR. So that kind of sets the tone and sets our philosophy in the Middle States region, right? Everybody can be a participant, whether they are a provisional member or a full member. Chapters with small leadership teams can do just as much as chapters with big leadership teams, right? You can go from being a 1-star, 2-star chapter to a 5-star chapter. We've seen that in the Middle States region. And we know that with everybody's support and sharing ideas, right, that we can all be successful. And to be a successful region, we want to make sure our chapters are. So that's what basically week 3 was about. We also, your self-study focused around setting goals, setting smarter goals, and learning things like, what STOAs are and all the different TED Talks that were involved in unit, what was that, 6? No, 6, huh?
Yes.
Yes. And PG is going to talk about a little bit more about that after we get done with College Project. And so why MSR Leads and why we're here in week number 4 and we're talking about College Project, we just felt that all of the things that we need to work up to become a 5-star chapter and set those goals, we want everybody to be, include the whole College Project, right? We believe that college projects are doable even in this COVID-19 world, in this virtual existence that we're in. It is possible, it is doable, it just will look different, right? Not difficult, it'll be different. And it's really important that, I think last week when Blake was talking to us about 5-star chapter development, how many of you were able to go back and look at the 5th level and go, oh my gosh, we did all this? We could, if this is all done and we're working backwards or hopping around, all we have to do is 1 through 4, and it's College Project and Honors in Action, or those 2 big things that need to be done. And so we separated it. So that's why we're going to focus on College Project tonight. And in July, we'll focus on Honors in Action, Honor Study topic. So So week 4, here we are. We're going to talk about college project. And I like to also think, because the unit 10 is about empowering others, college project does empower all of us, right? Involved in the chapter, those that we collaborate with, and all of the students at our campus, along with the college administration. So I think they work hand in hand, right? The college project is about empowering all of us to be active in addressing a need, providing a service, whatever that may be. And I know that they're going to look different, right? If we're not going to be on campus, what are those needs going to look like? And I'm sure there are many. And so how to have that conversation and to plan that out and do proposals and trying to figure out how you're going to do it is why we brought the best representative from headquarters to share her experience with the college project. And it's my honor to introduce you to Jennifer Stanford. She is the Associate Vice President of Program Implementation. Jennifer is a longtime Phi Theta Kappa staff member, having started the same year that she graduated from the University of Mississippi with a journalism degree. I didn't know that. Like, Jennifer, you could be like a writer or be on network news doing news or something like that. That's just, I never knew that. That's just amazing. Her career has focused on connecting members and advisors with PTK's benefits and programming. Her current role is Associate Vice President of Program Implementation, working closely with Honors in Action, the College Project, the 5-Star Chapter Plan, Hallmark Awards, yay, our favorite, and the International Officer Campaign. She has a master's degree in higher education with an emphasis on college teaching and learning, but she's most proud of her associate's degree at Holmes Community College, where she became a Phi Theta Kappa member. Although Although PTK's headquarters is in Jackson, Mississippi, she telecommutes from her home near Dallas-Fort Worth. Jennifer, thank you for joining us, and it's all yours now.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Patty, for that introduction, and really and truly just the incredible opportunity to be part of this. This is really a big deal that you guys have not panicked over the pandemic, but really pivoted. And so kudos to all of you for, on a summer night, especially a Monday night, getting together online on Zoom. If you're like me, you probably have had a lot of Zoom meetings. And so the fact that you're willing to spend another evening on Zoom really says a lot about your commitment to Phi Theta Kappa. So thank you sincerely for being a part of this. And a huge shout out to the regional officers as well. I can't believe it's hard to think about, you know, being in June and you guys haven't had the opportunity to really, you know, get together in person, but no one would ever have guessed that. You really have bonded well online, and clearly with your regional coordinator and associate coordinators, and, you know, putting this on is truly incredible, and it's going to make a huge difference in the region. So we want to talk about college project, right? So I am curious, and I know that, you know, Zoom, it's a little difficult, especially when you have so many people on, but I did want a little audience participation. So I'm just curious, for those that want to type in the chat, if you want to type in at least one way that your college administration supports your Phi Theta Kappa chapter. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint that we're going to go through. But just, it can be anything, big, small, medium, whatever you'd like to share about ways that your administration has been supportive of your chapter or of you personally. All right. While you're doing that, pulling up my PowerPoint. Okay. And then I have to click. Oh, looks like it's not going to show me the chat. I thought it would show me the chat while I was doing this, but all right, let me get out of that because I want to see. Patty, are there a few responses or?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
there are.
Okay, do you mind reading just a few? I'm sorry, it's not
No, that's fine.
me,
That's
all
fine.
the chats.
That's fine. Natalie says, our president makes posts to Instagram about PTK sometimes.
Nice, okay.
Bree says they take the time to talk to us about potential projects, plus they support our campus events.
Nice.
Robin says, great willingness to meet with us and attend our events. Dr. Ski at Hack supports our college projects and students' ideas, posts on social media and records videos.
Very nice.
They help our chapter financially go to PTK Catalyst, and last year even with our college project.
Great. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, I think that's it. Wait.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's great to hear the social media, because I haven't really thought about that, but there are a lot more, administrators that are taking advantage of that too, to connect with students. So that's a huge thing. That's an incredible outreach that they do. And, they have a lot to tweet or post about. So the fact that Phi Theta Kappa is up there with their other posts is really incredible as well.
Mm-hmm.
The college project at the end of the day is, and I think Patty mentioned this already, it's about that relationship that the chapter has with your college administration. And we're going to talk about that in terms of really how you can become, if you're not already, your college's best ally. And I feel like that probably there are many of you that have been involved in your college project or maybe have already started, but there may be some that haven't. And especially at this time of year, even if you've already started, there are definitely things that you can do to go back and make sure you've got that firm foundation, especially with an eye towards Hallmark Awards, if that is something that you're shooting for. So we're really going to dive a lot deeper than we normally do with these type of presentations. And I want to share some step-by-step stuff with you guys as we go along. But first and foremost, make sure everybody's on the same page. There are three main things that you need to remember about a successful college project. And first and foremost is that it is a joint project with the college. So it's not just a chapter project that also benefits the college. It really is a collaboration that we want you to do alongside the college administration, staff, faculty, depending on what your project actually is. It may have you working with not only the campus but even the community. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit later. But the second part is that it has to relate to the college's mission, and we're going to really expand that during this presentation about what exactly do we mean when we say the college's mission statement, because a lot of it, if you looked at a lot of organizations' mission statements, they can be pretty vague, or at least open enough that almost anything would fit under it, right? So we're really going to talk about how you can successfully do some homework about what your college administration is focused on, what their priorities are, before you meet with the administration. And thirdly, most importantly, it strengthens, or it develops, if you haven't done a college project in a while and maybe the administration is not really that familiar with what Phi Theta Kappa is, this is a prime opportunity for you to really come alongside the administration and show them that you are a true ally for them, that you're not just there for what they can give to the Phi Theta Kappa chapter, but you, especially in this particular time, your chapter is there to support them and in goals that they have set and maybe, quite frankly, struggling to achieve. And I know that many of our colleges are dealing with just unprecedented times. And so the idea that you're adding another meeting on their calendar, not to talk about, what you need or, how you can make something work, but to say, hey, how can we help you? That's going to be a very welcome item to their schedule. And so we want to make sure that you set, your best foot forward, that you make a positive first impression that lasts all the way through to completion. All right, so we've mentioned a little bit of this, especially with you guys sharing some of the ways that your chapter has benefited from your college administration. But I want to peel it back even further and just share why college support really is so critical to Phi Theta Kappa. And it's not just critical, it truly is life for Phi Theta Kappa. In case you didn't know, many of your chapters, of course, have been around for decades. There's probably a few fairly newly chartered chapters, but for the most part, you may not be familiar with the chartering process. And it really does take the administration's interest, their initiative, to even have a Phi Theta Kappa chapter on campus. The charter is given to that administration. So the campus CEO is really the ultimate CEO for Phi Theta Kappa on the local campus as well. And so it's very important that the college take pride in having an active, engaged Phi Theta Kappa chapter. And certainly having a college project is on your way to the higher levels of the 5-star plan can certainly help be a shining example for your college administration to brag on as well. But they also are involved in choosing the chapter advisors. And we love it when a college can have more than one to, share the load. But it's their support of your chapter advisors is key. I mean, most of the time, they may not always be able to give release time from class load or stipend or anything extra, but it can be incredibly helpful if the administration is at least giving that administrative support, making sure that the advisor has they're advocated for on campus and really are seen as a valuable team member for the college campus chapter. Access to the eligible students. You've got to have that. The advisor has to get with the college admissions office or registrar's office, even to send out emails or letters to those eligible students. So they're at ground zero in terms of for a Phi Theta Kappa chapter to even function at our #1 mission, which is to recognize college students for their academic excellence. Some of you may be lucky enough to have chapter funding. There may be other opportunities for you to petition for funding or to fundraise. We're not on campus right now, but hopefully when we are all back on campuses, I'm sure that there's meeting space that you may have. There could be other space that you are able to use because of the administration's support, whether you know that instantly or not. It really, there's a chain of command that has to happen at that local campus, and for you to even be able to have meetings and events on campus does require that administration's approval. And it's always so important for administrators to be present at your chapter induction, and that means a virtual induction as well. And so their presence there certainly adds to the prestige of it and is very meaningful to Phi Theta Kappa as well as the inductees and their family and friends that are in. If you've ever had a press release that highlights what your chapter is doing, maybe for your projects, for listing your new inductees, been in the college newsletter or, featured on the website, all those things are important as well. And, there are so many areas of support that you don't automatically think of when you think about administrative support. Sometimes we boil it down to just funding, and there's really so much more than that. And so I wanted to, beyond just these activities and mechanisms that you see here of how an administration supports a chapter, I want to make sure that you know that there is one other way. And by doing a college project, you're able to really cash in on, if you will, the opportunities that can come your way that sitting here now, you may not even be able to conceive of. But there's so many doors that can open to you and your chapter because you have reached out to the college administration and you start working with other college personnel, with other departments, with perhaps even other student organizations. And networking is certainly something, if you haven't done Employment Edge, please take advantage of that. Even if you are transferring and you think that you're not going to be doing job interviews and worrying about your resume quite so soon, go ahead and take advantage of it, because one of the key parts that you're doing right now, beyond just building your skills and soft skills, is your networking. And a college project can introduce you to really the key players, not only on campus, but sometimes even in the community. And there may be scholarships or internships or other opportunities that you could not imagine right now, but beyond just making certainly your campus better, you can be building personal and professional development opportunities for yourself. And that's why a college project, along of course with the Honors in Action project, really is so critical. I know Dr. Blake talked last week about the importance of why you're doing 5-star and college project and all these other things that Phi Theta Kappa offers. And at the end of the day, it really is about your student success. And we want to make sure that you understand that you're building that resume, you're making those connections, and you're ultimately making a big difference, not only for your future, but also for the students that come behind you. So let's also share a few more things about the big picture of College Project before we start the step-by-step process. Keep in mind that throughout the process, you really want to respect yourselves, your college, and the process of conducting a successful college project. And what I mean by that is that, you know, obviously you have limited time to really fill your day with lots of responsibilities and things that you're trying to accomplish. But what I mean here is that when you reach out to the college administration, your college leadership role, you're building your own reputation. And so you do want to make sure that you're not only representing Phi Theta Kappa well, but you're representing yourself well. And so keep that in mind. You know, anytime that, you know, maybe the project starts out big, but can kind of get maybe a little overwhelming for you, don't be afraid to reach out for help, because the most important thing is that this relationship stays positive. And so at the end of the day, it's much more about the relationship than it is the project. So we do want to make sure that you are aware that you're establishing not only your reputation, but the chapter's reputation, and you want it to be a positive experience for both. The college, of course, as we were mentioning, the administrations are under incredible amounts of pressure, especially during this pandemic. There's so many things in a state of flux right now, and things are changing almost daily. And so you want to be cognizant of their time, appreciate their time, and, you know, not try to inundate them with lots of information or requests for meetings, but go through the process of as professionally as possible. You know, providing the information and keeping them up to date in the best way possible, that your advisor, of course, can also help you navigate that, you know, what's appropriate to share and what are details that need to stay with the project team and not necessarily all the way up to the campus president. And the process, and that's what we're going to talk about, the step-by-step process that you'll see in just a minute. Sometimes I think chapters think of the college project in a way that maybe high school seniors think about the senior project that they do for their schools. You know, it's kind of a gift at the end of their senior year. And, you know, sometimes it's even a gift that's almost a surprise for the school administrators. And this is not what a college project is. It really is, rather than it being a gift, it's a collaboration. And first and foremost, of course, it's the chapter going in saying, how can we help you? But it has to be a joint decision based on what the chapter's resources are and the college's wishes. And so we do want you to think of that as, not just the chapter working in their own group to come up with a project that helps the college, even though that I'm sure would be beneficial. Again, this college project is all about that relationship. And so it has to start with the administration and be inclusive of them all the way throughout, including the end with the final report, if you will, that you do to, sort of tie a bow on it at the end of the project. You do have from January through December, just like the 5-star chapter plan runs on the calendar year. So if you haven't started, don't panic. There are many, many chapters that have not started and still have time to do a significant college project. It is level 4 of the 5-star chapter plan. So you'll be able to, especially if you're planning to be at the 4 or 5-star level of the 5-star plan, college project is definitely something that is required. 5-star is where the honors in action lives. But of course, and Patty, I think you mentioned this, you want to be working on multiple levels at the same time. So you don't want to wait till you finished all of level 1 and level 2 before you get started on those other levels. So now is the time.
Now's the time.
That's right. Now is the time. And then, as I mentioned, it is a Hallmark Award category. I know that that's something that you don't want to wait till the end of the year and say, oh yeah, I think we will submit for the Hallmark Award. No, you need to be reading the rubrics. Now we're going to go over them quickly during this presentation. And I'm going to share this presentation with Patty, so she'll have this as well. We are updating just pretty much dates and minor things like that on all of our Hallmark Award categories with the entry questions and judging rubrics. So within the next couple of weeks, all of that will be back online on our Hallmark Awards webpage. But if you've participated in the past, know that there are no big changes for college project or honors in action this year. I will highlight the deadline there, January 20th. So plenty of time, it seems, right now in June, but it goes by quickly. So definitely want to get started and take good notes during the whole project. All right, so step by step. So want to share just a few, let me see if I can get this working right. Okay. All right. So as we talk about this, we're breaking down, and I think maybe Dr. Blake mentioned this, that we're preparing a chapter leader's guide where it's not just telling you what a chapter does, but how to go about doing chapter projects and activities. And the college project is one of those things that you'll see really spelled out. And so this is kind of a snapshot from that. But the first and foremost thing that you need to do is to determine who all is going to be involved in that meeting with the administration. I don't recommend the whole chapter team if it's, 10 or more people, but, certainly can be more than one. It doesn't just have to be, say, the chapter president. Your advisor may want to attend and may be the key person that is responsible for setting that up. Every campus is going to be a little bit different. So keep that in mind, that there's not a headquarters specified way of this is how you set up the meeting. You really do have to work within the confines of your own college campus and how things are done, if you will, at your college. So be sure to consult with your advisor about this. And, if for some reason your advisor is not available at this point in the summer, reach out to the student affairs office. They can probably help you as well in terms of, trying to set up a meeting. Now, we know this meeting may be online, and Patty, I know that you mentioned that y'all were going to talk about, how do you do this? And I don't know if that's going to be a little bit later, if you wanted me to just, give
we're going to do something, a separate presentation about that after we're done with regional honors, but you can definitely talk about it now.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to highlight that, certainly it's probably going to be online if you're trying to do it this summer. It's going to be different for every college, what the protocol is. But don't be afraid to, reach out to, like I said, either the student affairs office if your advisor is not available, But usually there is also a president's assistant, an executive member of the executive staff that's part of the president's office that can also be helpful with this. But be sure to check with your advisor if at all possible. And, be flexible, understand that the administrator schedules are very tight and also moving very fast, so that the meeting may have to get rescheduled. Don't take offense to that. That's just a normal part of our world today. So don't be too sensitive if the meeting gets moved around a couple of times. Before the meeting, and I put that you want to determine meeting participants and to go ahead and try to get it scheduled first, because that may take a while. Some of you may be looking at, a month or so before you can get into the administrator's office. It's ideal to meet with your campus CEO, but you can meet with another top administrator if that's just not possible. But be sure to explain that if you are entering Hallmark Awards, that's something that you want to reference why you were not able to meet with the president. It's understandable, but that will be a natural question the judge will have if you say we met with the vice president or with another administrator and not the president. So you want to spell out the reasons for that in your entry. But we want you to be prepared for this meeting. And it is all about, really hearing what the college administration wants, but they have a lot on their plates right now. So you want to be prepared to, talk intelligently about what the college's mission statement, what their priorities are. And, not that you're going to be able to, make necessarily a formal presentation on what your college's strategic plan is, but you want to at least have familiarized yourself with the college's priorities. And how do you find it? Well, it's actually pretty easy. For the most part, you're going to be able to search your college's website, even just typing in your college's name and mission. It's going to probably pop up, if not the first thing, at least something under a section like About. And so before we kind of dive into the brainstorming chapter ideas, I want to just show you an example. So I pulled this up. This is Anne Arundel Community College, and I literally just, typed that in to the Google bar, and this was the first thing. It's under About Us and then Mission and Vision. But as I mentioned earlier, sometimes you read a mission statement and you're like, okay, yes, responds to the needs of our diverse community by offering high quality, affordable, accessible, and innovative lifelong learning opportunities. So, yes, that certainly does sound like what your college does, and you probably are shaking your head. But you also may be wondering, well, that doesn't really lend itself to a specific idea. And so the reason why we want you to brainstorm a couple of ideas is, as I said, if your administration really is feeling a bit overwhelmed and maybe they want to get your ideas. Administrators love to hear what students' views and thoughts are, especially about the college. And so if you have looked over this page, you'll notice on the right-hand side that it says strategic plan. And so when you click on that, then it brings you to a more specific set of goals that the college has. And I've got an arrow pointing out that this particular webpage, this strategic plan, is for fiscal year 2017 through 2020. So this has been posted since 2016. So my guess is that the college is probably well on its way to achieving these goals. Now, there are going to be some that are, of course, are ongoing, things like college completion. And, there are definitely going to be goals that a college, has recurring year after year. But there may be some things that maybe they haven't completely finished. But a couple of ideas here. Number one, when you find something like this that may be a little bit dated on the website, it's always good to ask if there is a more up-to-date copy. Sometimes it's just the webmaster hasn't gotten, well, you're not asking for confidential college information, but as you can see, this is not under, you know, any kind of password. This is open to the public. You don't have to be a student there to get this kind of information. So again, your advisor, maybe student affairs, someone else could help you perhaps locate something that's in the works for the next strategic plan for this college. But for the sake of just, you know, using this as a way to kind of brainstorm and get your own ideas going, if you look down and you see a couple of things like implement mandatory new student orientation. Well, we know that there have been quite a few chapters who have worked in this area for their college projects. And there may be, even if they already have one established, they may have to be reinventing the new student orientation for a completely online format, especially for this fall and maybe for the foreseeable future. And so having a student group come to them and say, hey, what can we do? You know, and if the administration doesn't immediately have an idea to share, being able to say, you know, we've got maybe some really creative videographers in our group who would love to maybe create a video for your new student orientation. So that would be just one area. The other thing that I highlighted here where it says overhaul and relaunch the college website. This is a perennial goal of any organization. The website is constantly evolving. And there may even be a college-wide committee that maybe has student reps on it, maybe not. If they don't, then they definitely need them. You know, this could be an opportunity for you to, you know, depending on where the cycle is, where the college is in that cycle, to help influence decisions made about the college website. And social media, for example. So again, these are things that you're reviewing with your chapter officer team so that you have an idea of what are some goals that the college wants to accomplish so that you're ready to talk through those. Another example, I just wanted to highlight a couple other colleges. Again, you know, sometimes you're going to Google it and it'll just bring up mission and vision, but be sure and look at what all is on that page. And it really is incredible. If nothing else, you know, even if your chapter, for whatever reason, winds up not being able to, you know, complete a college project. I hope that's not the case, but just in case things happen. I hope that even just taking part in these planning steps, that you'll walk away with a better understanding of the enormous role that community colleges play in our nation, in our society. And so, you know, realizing that not only are you a student, but that you're also a community constituent. And so this, you are as much a part of the community college leadership as, and really an influencer as anyone else. And so we hope that not only if you're completing a successful college project, that you're also becoming a community college advocate through this process as well. We hope that it truly does inspire you and that you're just as proud of your community college where you've graduated as you would be if you go on to a four-year college and graduate from the four-year university. They do some incredible work, and I think you'll see that. You'll be even more impressed with just the far-ranging reach that a community college has in the community and all the different initiatives that they do. So take advantage of looking at your college's website. You know, again, when you drill down in those strategic plans, you're going to see some very specific details that you can jump on. And this will be the final one that I do. I wanted to bring up the DC Community College because I wanted to share with you, you know, just how fast acting and really on the cusp that our community colleges are. And, you know, there are things that if you really take the time to go on your college's website and look at some of the initiatives they have, you know, sure, you would scroll down, you see it about, and you go right down to history and mission, and that brings up, you know, kind of the typical mission statements, and this is our vision and core values. But if you take the opportunity to really investigate other things like this, the equity imperative, this is what they've called their strategic plan. extremely impressive. So you can, go through that. It's through 2022. So that's a more current version. But then also I noticed, there's this Institute for the Study and Elimination of White Supremacy in America. Very much, this is something that has been put together thoughtfully, but in a very short amount of time based on what has just currently been happening. In other words, I'm not saying that they've just started this work, but what I'm saying is that they make sure that it's relevant, that it's up to date, and that it's really on the front lines. And so I know that so many of our students really do see themselves as advocates and as active citizens who want to make a difference. And there is no better partner for you than the community college. So just wanted to highlight that. I think that that's such an important part of community colleges. That's one of the reasons why I think we're Phi Theta Kappa staff and regional coordinators and advisors are so passionate about their work, is because of, we believe so heavily in the community college mission. All right, so getting back to my PowerPoint, I wanted to just share, I mentioned that, you're brainstorming chapter ideas and goals. You want to go in there not only having familiarized yourself with what the chapter wants, or excuse me, what the college wants to accomplish and what their priorities are, but also what the chapter wants to accomplish. And, you don't have to have a, 10-point, here's my report, but having an understanding, it can be just simply that you want to be a 5-star chapter, that you want to, have a recruit even more students for Phi Theta Kappa, induct more students for Phi Theta Kappa than you did the previous year. I mean, just some, high level goals so that the administration knows that you are taking your leadership role seriously and that you really are committed, to being a campus leader and as well as a leader for Phi Theta Kappa. So once you prepared, and you have that meeting, wait. I think there is, okay, I think I did accidentally delete one, but that's okay. I can remember it. So at the meeting itself, first and foremost, you want to be on time, right? Don't make the administration wait for you. It may be that you have to wait a few minutes for them, but don't make them wait for you. Backing up, some people, if you do happen to have a face-to-face meeting or even just a Zoom meeting, you don't have to feel like you need to be in business attire. If that's what makes you comfortable and you feel like that's going to be representing yourself the best way, of course. But even just wearing your Phi Theta Kappa apparel, your membership pin, just being neat in your appearance is fine. So I don't want students to get stressed out about that of, well, what do I wear for this administrator meeting? The other thing is, again, make sure that you're first and foremost prepared to listen. Take their cue, the administration, if you're able to meet with the president, there may be another administrator that they've asked to sit in on the meeting. Make sure that you give them the opportunity to share first in terms of ideas, but if they toss it back to you, then you'll be prepared to share some of your chapter ideas to benefit the college. Have an action plan, at least of, a couple of notes before you leave. You certainly want to wrap it up in a very positive way. Be sure to thank the administrators for their time and, to set a date for when you're going to get back with them about what the next steps are and keep it. Don't necessarily say tomorrow because that's not realistic, but give them a date and, follow through on that. And so let's look more specifically about what you need to do after that meeting. So first and foremost, you're going to follow up with your chapter. I'm guessing that not everybody that is participating in the chapter was at the meeting, so give them a report. If your college asked you to work with, say, the welding department, you're going to want to, of course, reach out to the head of that department and start that communication. And so be sure to, start that as soon as you possibly can. You never know how long it's going to take someone to come back to you. People could be on vacation, they can be out for other reasons. So start as quickly as you can. Appoint a chapter officer or team leader if you have not already done this. It may be that based on what you've learned that the college wants for the college project, it may be that there's another person that it's perfect for. Maybe if it's something to do with, say, a student success video and there's a communications major in the chapter, that person would be the best person to head this up. But make sure that you do have that contact person so that you have someone that's keeping everyone accountable and on track with the project. Get input on this, but go ahead and draft what your project's goals are based on your meeting with the administration, and then some action steps and how you're going to communicate. Decide, it's probably not going to be just one way, because there will never be one method of communication that reaches everyone, because people have their preferences. But make sure that you know the core group that you're going to be communicating with on a consistent basis, and that you have a method of communication confirmed with them. But be sure first and foremost that you have a SMART goal written down, right? You want to make sure that you know when you've crossed the finish line. And this is something that you're going to want to share. This is a follow-up document that you want to share with your college administration. And so it needs to be very concise, to the point. You're not writing a research paper at this point. You want to think of this as an executive summary of what your next steps are. You've got the project goal listed at the top. Maybe some of those action steps below, a deadline of when, maybe a sample timeline, understanding that it's going to fluctuate, but at least give them an idea. And then there are going to be some areas probably that you need to work on. If you're going to be doing a video, maybe you need to, sit down with a video editor. Or maybe there's someone else that can help introduce you to some software and give you a tutorial about some software. It could be soft skills, and that's where our PTK Edge course and certainly the leadership course that you're taking with Phi Theta Kappa. So there are things that you probably have already been doing to prepare yourself, but take note of those, because that's going to be really valuable information to add into your homework award entry. Once you've got this outline of, that goal and the outcomes that you are accepting as the project outcomes, the timeline, etc., make sure you have someone else proof it. Make sure the advisor is aware of it. They certainly can help if you're maybe biting off a little too much. That's the advisor's role. Or it may be that the advisor says, have you thought about this? They can even help you take it to the next level. But then once it's vetted, then you're ready to share it with the appropriate stakeholders. And that's, the president's office. If there's other college departments or other collaborators that you're going to be working with, you want them all to have this document. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to be, communicating weekly with the college president. I would not recommend, a long email every week to the president. But you can settle on an appropriate way to keep them up to date as you go through the project. So as you're implementing, these are just some, high-level things to keep in mind. Make sure you wrote down some things that you needed to work on. Make sure if there's training involved, go ahead and take care of that. Get it scheduled. Work on those areas maybe while you're working on other college staff to get back in touch with you. You've got an action plan. Now start working through it. There is no shame in asking others for help. That's part of a Phi Theta Kappa College project, is not just doing it yourself, but actually involving other student organizations. That's a great way, to build community. Not only you're strengthening the relationship with the college, but also with the other student groups. So use this opportunity for that. If you encounter, when you encounter obstacles, you're going to want to go back to the college administration. And maybe it's not necessarily the president if they have you assigned to work with another administrator, but don't change directions or do a major shift in the college project without getting the college's input. At the end of the day, it's really about their wishes. So go back to them and give them that opportunity to, maybe they can help, maybe there's something else that they can provide, or they can, shape what you should do moving forward if you've run into obstacles. And it's okay to change directions. We've had chapters with award-winning projects that have had to change directions based on things that have happened that year. No one saw the pandemic coming a year ago. And so you're going to want to be flexible. That's part of what you're scored on in a college project. And so that's definitely something that you want to be aware of. And, the type A personalities out there know that that's okay. It's certainly okay to change directions midstream. And then, as I mentioned before, you don't want to overwhelm the administrators with too much communication, but you do want to make sure that you're giving them regular updates in whatever format that they have requested. I think that's the best way to do it. And at the absolute least, you want to have a final report that is presented, hopefully, to the college president or email to the college president if that's what it takes. All right, so I'm going to pause here. I know that there may be questions or anything else, anything that I can clarify. So please let me know if you do have questions or comments, ideas that you want to share. Please feel free to do that in the chat box. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get ready for the next part, which is quickly to talk about the college rubrics. And I will be quick, I promise, Patty.
That's okay.
So is anybody, yes, Bree, thank you for saying that. Note-taking is so important. It really, really is. And you're gonna really be so happy with yourself if you've taken careful notes. And keep in mind, these are notes for yourself. You don't have, doesn't have to be fancy. I mean, just jot down notes in a notebook or whatever format that you want. But that is such a critical part of being able to write excellent hallmark entries, is when you have taken good notes throughout the year. All right, well, I'm going to jump back in really fast, and let me make sure I'm sharing. Let's see. Okay. And as I said, this PowerPoint will be shared with Patty so that she can share it in the group. And then the new, basically just 2021 college project entry questions, et cetera, are going to be on our website very soon. But I wanted to just share with you guys so you can see the, sorry, I don't mean to give you guys whiplash. It just started over at the beginning. These are the questions. And so you're going to briefly describe your college project and what your chapter set out to accomplish with the administration. Second, you're going to describe the planning process in detail, including who was involved in determining the project and who your chapter collaborated with to carry out the project. How did chapter members develop their leadership and or knowledge, skills, and abilities needed for project implementation? Describe in detail how the chapter collaborated and communicated with others before, during, and after the project. And then finally, what were the quantitative and qualitative outcomes of your project, including the lessons learned by your chapter members and others. Now, if you just read those questions and responded to them, chances are you're going to leave a lot of points on the table. And so that's why it's really critical that you review the judging rubrics now so that you can be making sure that your project is covering all these bases. It's hard to put all of this detail into the entry question. So we rely on chapters to be familiar with the rubrics as they're implementing their projects. So preparation, these are all the things that we've talked about that your chapter is doing to prepare for the college project. And over here, I just wanted to explain that each of these statements, a judge is going to review your entry as a whole, and then they're going to look at 4 points if you show outstanding evidence that your chapter reviewed the college mission and priorities before meeting with the administration. So you get up to 4 points for each of these bulleted items. So that's why it adds up to be 20 points for preparation. But if you only have some evidence or the judge feels like it's implied rather than explicit, then you can't get higher than 2 points. And so that's why, again, you want to be familiar with the rubric so that you are giving those details when you're writing. Leadership development, again, we've talked about the preparation of that. It's also the carrying out of the project and having those significant leadership roles. So if you reach out and work with other organizations, it doesn't mean that you're completely delegating all the leadership, but you are empowering others to work with you. And so that's certainly the hallmark of a good leader. And so know that it's the prep, it's also the leadership in action that you're doing, and that's what we're looking for in the entry. That strategic planning that you've done, evidence of that, of how you organized and planned your work and worked your plan. Communications and cooperative effort. Again, this is all about that relationship with the college administration. So communication is the foundation. So don't forget that. Don't let it just be the first meeting and it starts you out and then you never follow up again with the administration. So this is regularly updating them, making sure that your stakeholders are not just the chapter, but that you've reached out and that you are having that cooperative effort with others on campus. Impact, the fourth area out of 5 that we score you on. Of course, we're looking for the outcomes of your project, and this is where you need to be brutally honest. But make sure that you've got mechanisms in place to do quantitative data, to track numbers, to think about accomplishments in numerical form as well as qualitative form. So being able to measure things and going through that SMART goal setting will certainly play with your strengths here for getting that kind of impact and those kind of rich details that you need for the entry. And then the presentation, and this is overall, it's not just the spelling and grammar, but, did it read like it was written by one person, or was it very disjointed? And 5 points may not seem like a lot, but it can really be the difference between on stage and not on stage. And so pay, very close attention to that and get others to help you. All right, and that's it. Sorry, Patty, if I went a little, apologize.
Jennifer, can you tell
Yes.
us how the weight is of college project versus honors in action and how that plays out?
Sure, that is a great question, Jennifer. So what we do is for chapters that are going to be 5-star level, they have to enter both honors in action and college project. And for the honors in action project itself, it's a score of 100 points total. College project is a score of 85 points. However, when we go to determine the distinguished chapters, which is basically ranking all of the participating chapters, we weight them equally, 50%. So the scores are, the honors in action weighs the same as college project. And that's what determines, that average score is what determines your ranking in Phi Theta Kappa. So that's how we get our top 10 chapters as well as our distinguished chapters. Mm-hmm. Does that help, Jennifer? Was there any?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Jennifer? Now's your time.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you. I do. Can I follow
Okay.
up on Jennifer's question on Gasparino's question?
Yep.
So help me understand the math of it. Not
Okay.
a math major here.
Okay.
So, so somebody gets 100 on one and somebody gets an 85 on the other. How is that 50-50? Help me understand that.
So they weight it, they do a percentage of it, and I'm not a math person either, but our
Okay.
wonderful institutional researcher, Marty Thomas, you can set it up in Excel to do the percentages. And so it's only going to be, it gives a new score based on 50% for each
Gotcha.
of those scores.
Gotcha.
So, yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. I hear you, Linda, right here.
Does anybody else have a question?
Stop sharing. Okay, I see chat. I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see the.
Mhm.
Okay.
To
Yes.
Jennifer. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, there's one above it, I think. I might have missed.
See, Yen writes, what kind of evidence that you want for the college project? So I think when talking about the quantitative and qualitative outcomes, quantitative would be, every project is going to be a little bit different, so because the college project can be on anything that the college wants. But let's say you have an event, maybe there's some type of event where you have a certain number of audience attendees, a certain number of groups that you've worked with. It can be surveys that you've done, maybe a pre and a post survey if you're trying to measure awareness on a particular issue. If you've done a video, you could work with, say, the Student Affairs Office or college admissions to, determine how many views a particular video got on the college website. So those are the quantitative things, and it's really important that you think about those and plan ahead for it, because that's hard to capture after the fact when you're, trying to write the entry. Qualitative data would be anything that, it could be more about the personal stories or the anecdotes that you get from people who participated in the project. That's true of, you're specifically asked to share how the chapter members grew in terms of their scholar and leadership abilities. But you also want to, think about what the participants, those that were non-Phi Theta Kappa members, getting their input and the impact of their experience through whatever project you did. So let's say you did the video for new student orientation, being able to find a few members or a few students that watched it and, maybe do a follow-up a couple of months later and ask them, was there anything that they specifically learned that they, used that has helped them with navigating, campus or their classes, whatever. So those are the kind of qualitative things that you can include. And that just really personalizes the project and makes it stand out to the judges, so that it's not, you're not trying to just follow a formula, but you're really trying to bring to life what your project was trying to accomplish. And don't forget about sharing the relationship with the administration and how that has grown. Maybe there are new opportunities that you're going to have next semester because of the success of the college project. So sometimes I think that may be the last thing that chapters think about mentioning in a college project entry, and it really is the bedrock of what the college project is about. So those are good things to mention. And if you've had that regular communication, you're probably going to have one or two great quotes from an administrator to include, and boy, does that sell it. So make sure you're taking note of opportunities to get that, especially if you're communicating by email. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helps. Mm-hmm. Helps with that one.
Scoring on the rubric, is this written as an essay or more like a process analysis?
Okay, great question. It's written really more like you're responding to discussion questions. So you can think of it as an essay, but a segmented essay, but it does need to be cohesive. We try to make it where, you know, the first question relates to preparation and the next question relates to the second area, which is leadership development. But we know that college projects cannot necessarily be linear. And so that's why we instruct the judges to read the entire entry and then go back and score. But you do want to, you know, again, make sure that you have someone ideally who is not directly related to the project read the entry for you, and they can tell you if there are, you know, things that are missing or that are unclear. They're reading it against the rubrics, you know, they can really point out things that you have missed that you won't necessarily even think about because you're so close to the project. So write it if you can, have one person who is writing, but have multiple people that are participating in that brainstorming session before they get ready to write, so that they can bring up all of those vivid details and have them as the editing team. Okay.
Great.
Others?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Middle States, let's show our appreciation for Jennifer. You can unmute. Be raucous as you are. Yeah.
Ooh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
So
you.
much.
Well, thank you guys. And I
Thank you
really,
so
I mean,
much.
I'm going to send the PowerPoint to Patty. And so Patty, feel free to share. You guys are more than welcome to share it with your chapter members that couldn't be part of this. But as hopefully we'll be hosting our 2021 PTK Catalyst in Baltimore. So we can't wait to be there in the Middle States region. So we really appreciate you so much. So thank you.
Yay, thank you. It's a
All right,
pleasure to have
enjoy.
you. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you later, guys.
All right, Jennifer. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody want to stretch a little bit, and then we're going to turn it over to PG. Is Mike on? Can Mike do us a stretch, a 2-minute stretch? No?
I can.
Oh, there you are. I thought we had to go to class. Get us to, you know, we've been sitting for an hour and 15 minutes. So before we
So stand up and stretch.
get
No, so sit on the edge of your chair or stand up, right? I don't want to stand up because my camera's too low to look awkward, right? So take your arms up, stretch them up overhead, right? Clasp your fingers, twist your hands and put them up towards the ceiling. And release. Let's take that right arm up and stretch over to the side.
I'll fall out of my chair.
Don't fall out of your chair. Be safe, everyone. Practice safe stretching. Let's take the other arm up and over.
That was definitely my shoulder that just popped in.
And this is my favorite thing to do, right? So take your right arm, bring it up over the top of your head and place it on your left ear. And allow the weight of your hand to bring your head down to the side. Don't force it. Just breathe. And then take that right hand from the left ear, slide it down to your right ear, and push your head up. Let's do the other side. Right? The head weighs so much, and it's sitting on top of our bodies all day long. And this is one opportunity to allow yourself to give your head a break and to actually support it. Slide that hand down and push it up. There's your 3-minute stretch break brought to you by McPez. Happy Monday.
Thank you, McPez. I appreciate it.
Thank you, McPez.
All right. So we're going to turn it over to, right before we go into breakout, right? We want to have a little bit of a lesson before we get in there. And of course, I bring our Associate Regional Coordinator in charge of leadership development this time around, Professor Gasparino.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to share my screen. And so hopefully you can all see this, and we're going to talk really briefly about smarter goals. And hopefully when you worked on the leadership development last week, you read the Wonderlust article about smarter goals and the importance of this. And I'm just going to go through the acronym real quick to help you understand and then kind of give you some direction as to what your breakout leaders are going to be doing with you. And I want you to think about this in terms of setting goals for your chapter, but you can also think about it in terms of when you're writing your objectives for your college project and honors and action projects, right? These projects are going to require you to have objectives, and objectives should be smart, right? You should be able to measure them and make meaning of them. So let's get started. Okay, so smarter goals. So S is for specific. Specific goals, meaning that you don't want to create a goal or an objective that says we want to be a great chapter. Well, what does that mean, right? When I ask people, how you doing today? I'm good. I always follow it up with, well, what does that mean? What does good mean, right? And so you really want to be able to hone that explanation of what it is and get to the nitty-gritty of what your goals are, and being specific when you say. So for example, Alpha Theta Chi will be a 5-star chapter. That's very specific, right? We might have that as our overarching goal, and then how are we going to get to that? How are we going to get to that goal, and how are we going to make it even more specific, right? And what you want to really do is, when you're setting your goals for your chapter, you want to look at the 5-star chapter development plan and making sure that you're creating these overarching goals. Okay, and then when you're working on your projects, you want to look at the overarching theme of the project and hone those objectives specifically. The next one, M, is meaningful. The Wonderlust article talks about M being meaningful, that you need to make meaning of your goal, being able to that specificity that you're talking about. Well, what does it mean? What does it mean to be a 5-star chapter? What does it mean to complete an honors and action project? What does it mean to complete a college project, right? How are you going to make meaning of that? But you also want your goals to be measurable. How are you going to be measured? How are you going to measure them, right? So think about it in, a very common goal for a lot of people is to lose weight, right? But a lot of people say, well, I don't want to just worry about the, losing weight. I want to be healthy. Well, what does it mean to be healthy? How are you going to make meaning of that? And if making meaning of being healthy means you're going to lose 10 pounds, that's fantastic. You can measure that. But how are you going to lose those 10 pounds, right? And how are you going to make meaning of that? In a few minutes, we're going to talk about time, right? Okay, A is achievable, right? We also want, to make sure that our goals, that we can achieve the goals that we do, that we are able to, be specific, make meaning of them, measure the goals, but also, can we do this? Is this something that is that we're actually able to do? And then one other thing you want to add to this A is actionable. Make sure that your goals or your objectives have action. I always like to start every goal or objective off with an action verb, right? Because that gives us the ability to see the how we're going to do it, right? Okay, and then the first R is relevant and realistic, right? So is what you're saying relevant to what you're doing, right? And is it realistic, right? We talked about being achievable, attainable. Is it realistic, right? Being a 5-star chapter, it may not be realistic for every chapter. But that also doesn't mean we don't try, right? So you can set your goals and just know that where you want to be, because you don't want to set yourselves up or your chapter up to, for disappointment, right? If you know right off the bat that your chapter is not going to be able to complete an honors in action, that you're only going to be able to complete a college project, then set your goal realistically to be a 4-star chapter. Remember what Dr. Blake said last week, in that we celebrate the levels that we can achieve, right? So it's really important that you keep it realistic. And time bound. So this time bound connects with measurability, right? So if we go back to the goal of being healthy, kind of making it a little bit more specific and saying, I want to lose 10 pounds. Well, I want to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, right? So in this way, you can really measure it, right? So putting an element of time to your goal or your objective helps to create it more specifically. We want to learn 3 new ways to do something, right? And that helps us to be able to measure it. We want to learn 3 new ways to demonstrate, we want to learn 3 new ways to research using a database in 3 weeks, right? I'm just kind of pulling stuff off my head, but thinking about it in that space. And then Wonderlust takes the SMART goal and kind of adds on to it and talks about smarter goals. And the E stands for evaluation. You need to be able to evaluate what it is that you're looking for, what it is that you're looking to do. And finally, readjust. Once you evaluate, if those goals are not realistic or not attainable, there's no reason why you can't edit them and readjust them, right? And you're going to see that in your projects, right, the goals for your projects or the objectives for your projects, you may have to readjust those objectives. The objectives that you write at the very beginning of what you want to accomplish may not be the objectives that you actually write on your homework when you submit your entry, because you may have had to readjust that, right? Does that make sense? Yeah? So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'll take any questions that you guys might have as far as what that stands for. Does anybody have any overall general questions about setting smarter goals? No? Okay, so what you're going to do now, what we're going to do now is we're going to get ready to go into the breakout rooms. You're going to have 30 minutes in the breakout rooms with your leaders. Leaders, I have made you all co-hosts, so you should be able to share your screens. I believe Nikki has put in the Padlet the sort of worksheet, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to pretend that your group is a chapter. Okay, so imagine that the people in your group are the people in your chapter, and you're going to work to come up with a smarter goal, making sure that it's specific, making sure that it's meaningful and measurable, that it's attainable and actionable, realistic, relevant, and then think about how you might carry out that goal and evaluate and how you might have to readjust it. Okay? And then make sure, breakout leaders, that you think about somebody to share that goal. Okay? Any questions? No? Okay, Patty, are we ready?
I'm ready. I can't wait to see hear some of these goals. They're going to be awesome.
Me too. So just some quick housekeeping. Everybody set up in breakout rooms. Advisors, you have your own breakout room. If for some reason you end up in a regular room, do me a favor, please exit the meeting completely, come back in, and I will put you where you need to be. If you get kicked out or you lose connection, just come back in and I will put you back in. But breakout room leaders, please let your group know what group you're in, so if anybody gets kicked out, I can get them back in. Okay. All right. So here we go.
There we go.
Have fun.
and that would be good for the next semester, but you know, it didn't do anything for me. We would have a quantity variety of communication channels, office hours, success agents, and regular discussion within the group chats like Remind and GroupMe. For the achievable, the way that we would get students more involved with the group chats is to have extra credit incentive for participation in the communication channels. And the student success agents may take some convincing. So hiring those student success agents may take, you know, a while to actually implement into the college because of, you know, money. Relevant, I think the goals are really relevant right now and towards the future because, you know, everything's digital now. You can't go and see your professor physically. So if things are still the way they are in the fall semester, it's going to be relevant, and hopefully there's some layer of that in the fall semester for, you know, all of our community colleges. When we would want this to start ASAP for the fall semester. One semester for communication channels, and we would have 2 semesters to begin student success groups. And for evaluate, the difficulties is to convince the college to hire new people because money, success metrics, the student polling, and the measure of progress. Each of the 4 polls and the quantity of new polls would have more of new hires, and you would have more interaction between students and teachers, hopefully. So.
Okay, fantastic. Great job. Good job. Breakout, room 3.
So we discussed, we said we were going to make an appointment with our college administrators first. Then we said set up a meeting and what to discuss, and we gave ourselves a 2-week period between making the appointment and having the appointment to kind of make it measurable. We set a goal that impacts the college PTK members and students. We want to meet with members and officers weekly or bi-weekly. Set a goal that fits the time that you have. And then our specific goals are increase engagement and enrollment with other clubs, involvement in clubs virtually, end community college stigma, find out that our peers' fears of joining college, and connect with gen ed instructors.
Pretty heavy duty goals. Good. Group 4.
Well, we had kind of a similar goal. So we want to increase recruitment and engagement of members in the chapter. And that is our specific aspect of our smarter goal. And for measurable/meaningful, we want through the use of weekly meetings to include the icebreaker groups to kind of lighten the mood, and use social media and Zoom meetings to get across to members. And for achievable, we want this to be short term because we want to reach out to members and then talk about informative things based on PTK afterwards. And this would be after the Zoom meetings, which that's the informative aspect. And the realistic part is we will use technology because, of course, we have no other means right now. Kind of had to use what's in front of us. And the time bound part would be we will recruit 10 to 15 people to engage with us by the end of the semester. And the meetings will take place on Friday afternoons. And through evaluation, we will survey everybody so we can get an understanding of whether they liked the icebreaker games or they wanted something to change. And to readjust based on their comments, we would take the feedback and switch it around.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Nice job. Very nice job. Okay, group 5.
All right, so for our SMART goal, we kind of went with a college project kind of SMART goal. So for specific, we said we want to increase the availability of technology and internet access for students and families within our local community during the coronavirus pandemic by creating partnerships with organizations within our local communities. To have it be measurable and meaningful, we want to start with a survey to determine the number of people and families in need of these devices and this internet access. For attainable, we said we want the ability to acquire resources needed to carry out the project, like budgeting and partnerships with these different organizations that could give us maybe like a deal on internet access we could spread to the members of the community. Reasonable. We didn't really get to reasonable, but time bound. We wanted to make sure this is during the coronavirus pandemic because that was our main goal. Mm-hmm. And it'll probably most likely take place during the January-December time of the next semester.
Okay, nice job, Stephen. Fantastic. Group 6? Group 6?
Oh, perfect. I didn't know if the computer froze. I'm sorry.
That's okay, George. Not a problem.
Thank you. Hello. I hope that everyone is well. I'm speaking for Group 6. Specific items that we had for Group 6 were to create a website specifically for reaching out to current and potentially future Phi Theta Kappa members and provisionary members to engage in fellowship, scholarship, leadership, and service, our 4 main pillars. And we would like to see new faces, and we would like to see people returning as well. Certainly, we'd like to have a high recidivism rate for Phi Theta Kappa. For measuring, we have a 15%, we would like to see a 15% increase in participation and membership, including on the part of provisionary members by the end of the year. We thought that we could target for provisionary members people who are not already in Phi Theta Kappa who have between a 2.5 and a 3.4 GPA and help those individuals to facilitate reaching a GPA high enough to actually be eligible for a Phi Theta Kappa membership. For achieving, we would like to promote the webpage on various social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, among others. For relevance, we may not be able to connect on campus because many of our campuses will not have the students return or engage in the fall semester. We would have the website, which would be a great way to actually stay connected with one another and to create new opportunities for service, digitally speaking. For time-bound purposes, we would like this to be done by certainly leading up to the induction ceremony for the fall. We would like to look at the number of students who have joined based on traffic to the new website. And by this time, we would like to have at least 5 or 10, probably even more new members getting involved with activities, becoming involved with activities, and participating actively in the society. To evaluate, we would give out a survey at the end of every month to see progress in achieving higher membership and higher participation. For readjusting, we would readjust based on the number of students that engaged with the website. We will do some sort of design mechanism on the website and take advice from students on how to improve it so as to generate more traffic and more participation. And I think that's it.
All right, that was excellent, George.
Thank you.
And Group 7.
Hi, I'm Edwin. I'm talking for our Group 7 for a hypothetical chapter. So our overall goal was to increase members and provisional members' active participation, specifically a 50%, excuse me, 50% increase of active members and a 25% increase of active provisional members of the chapter. It is meaningful and measurable. Measurable, like I said, I gave specific numbers. So we're going to be taking attendance at every meeting, but not merely that. We also want to assess member self-reported engagement levels, we're going to use something like the Likert scale. It'll give us some quantitative data for them to tell us how they feel they've actively engaged. We'll track the activity types to track the difference between attendance and active participation. How are we going to achieve this? Things that are within the realm of what we can use: icebreakers, games, increase our social media presence with online badges, achievements, short videos and memes, especially since as we now head into why is it relevant? Because, well, we're probably going to be virtual. Chapter needs active members as well, not just officers. Really relevant for any healthy chapter. Low community college attendance rates is possible for certain chapters. That's a challenge I need to meet. And it's, like I said, also virtual spaces that are needed due to how we're going to be meeting this fall. Time bound, we'd like to assess, look at things by October 31st, 2020 as our goal. Are we going to evaluate? Well, after our Halloween meeting, we're going to take a look at the data we've got, qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative, we've got our Likert scales that we're going to be using. Qualitative, we'll be collecting this information through surveys that we'll be distributing to the members through things like Google Forms. We can analyze the data to evaluate the effectiveness of what we've implemented. And we'll readjust by looking at the data to find potential for improvement and future growth for the chapter.
Very nice. Very, very nice. All right. So you guys are well on your way to bringing this idea to the chapter and formulating goals. So, Patty?
Yeah, I wanted to say something listening to all this. You were all acting as a chapter within your group sessions, right? You didn't know well, you may have known some of them people in there, but like this wasn't your home chapter. And look how easy it was for you to come up with smarter goals, right? With a group of people you really didn't know as it relates to a chapter. So just think how much easier it's going to be, whether you know your chapter members or not yet, and your fellow chapter officers. It's something that can be done in this virtual setting that we're doing. And those goals were crazy, right? They were really outstanding, really good. So everybody give yourself a hand. Yay. I'm so proud. So proud. And I'm glad. And we are recording, right? I have
Yes.
at my end with the internet. So we're going to try and get through the rest real quick before I lose it again. So here we are, week 4. This week, it's unit 10, empowering others, that you need to be taking a look at on leadership development. Everything will be loaded. Hopefully I can get it up there tonight. The whole week 4, all the materials will be loaded up later on this evening as fast as I get that recording back from Zoom and we can get it posted. Because we really only have tonight and the rest of this week, because Friday we're going to celebrate. And talk about celebration. What I need you to do, if you haven't had a chance to complete a unit in the leadership development, or you haven't been able to do one level out of any of the edges, you haven't had the opportunity or found the time to go post something in the Padlet, or left us a video in the Flipgrid, or any of those things, any of those engaging things that we've had, do that now. Do that between now and by Thursday, because we want to, recognize you for participating. And so we just need to see that you've completed something along the lines of in the leadership development, in the edges, in the Flipgrid in the classroom, also the Padlets in the classroom. And when we meet on Friday, we'd like to recognize some of the outstanding work we've seen, whether it's been in Flipgrid or any of those other areas, and some of the conversations that have occurred in the Padlets. So make sure you take the time out to do that between now and Thursday morning. That would be really, really helpful. We're going to meet on Friday night at 7. We have special guests. The international officer team will be joining us, along with our regional officer team. Also, some of the members that some of the headquarters staff that you've met throughout these 4 weeks, like Susan and Jennifer and Blake and Lynn and Dr. Joe Williams, they'll be joining us as well. So it's going to be quite the spectacle on Friday night. We're going to open it up at 6:30. Program will start at 7, and you know, Middle States likes to party, so it might go on until 8:30. So definitely join us for that. I just want to take one more minute to talk about Regional Honors Institute. You know, we're going to give everybody a break, enjoy the 4th of July, and then we're going to come back on Monday nights again in July. But before we even get to the dates, one of the things that you really need to do, it's going to be a prerequisite for a Regional Honors Institute. And the reason why we're doing this is that so that you will be ready to engage in the full Honors Institute experience. The regional officers have been working not only through MSR Leads, but their own orientation. They're also transitioning over to start modeling for you an Honors in Action project. And they're going to start at the very beginning. And so we want you to have a good understanding, a good foundation, so that you're not listening to the Regional Honors Institute Zoom sessions going, well, what's that mean? What's a theme? What do you mean I got to get a focus question? You know, so we're really encouraging all of you to complete Research Edge between now and the middle of July, so that when we get started with it, you'll know what we're talking about, and you won't be sitting back going, this is crazy. I don't, you know, it's too much. So do the Research Edge, because you're going to need it anyway when you work with it. Get it out of the way now, right? Get it out of the way now, because when you do it with your chapter, you're definitely going to want to start with Research Edge. That should be the first thing. So take a look at Research Edge, and I'll be sending everybody an email. You don't have to remember this now. And also download a copy of the guide and take a look at it between now and before we start Regional Honors Institute, so that you can engage and participate in some of the actual, and I don't know what it is yet. The regional offices are still working on it. The Regional Honors in Action project that they're going to be working on and modeling, because that project, whatever it is going to carry us through the rest of the year. It'll become the foundation for what we do as far as advocacy or service in the region. It could be seminars, it could be, I don't know what it's going to look like. We're going to see how it unfolds, but we want you to be a part of it. And so be prepared for that. Does anybody have any questions? No? All right, Delaware. Where's my Delaware peoples?
Right here.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Sabrina. All right. Awesome. Today was great. Yes, it was, Hadil. It was great. Today was great. Maryland. Woo-hoo! Maryland's getting very boisterous lately. I don't know. Yay. Flipgrid this week to reflect. Oh, all right. Wait, Nikki. Yeah, I'll let you just talk about it. New Jersey.
Yeah, all right.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Middle States region.
Right here.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, you're so sweet. Nikki, you want to talk about the Flipgrid for reflection?
Sure. We're going to do a Flipgrid this week as one of our participations, a way to engage with the region. What we're asking that you do is to come up and reflect back on the last 4 weeks that we've been together and come up with any ideas for what your biggest takeaway was, what's resonated with you, what do you plan to bring to your chapter to be successful this year or to your own personal life. And you're just going to record a quick minute video or less, just sharing those ideas that we could then look at, share within the region to highlight the effectiveness of MSR Leads 2020.
Yay, that's fun. I like that. I think I'm going to do one too. I haven't done a Flipgrid yet, so I'm going to have to do one for sure. All right. Anything else? PG, we got the questions up for.
Nikki, the questions are up for this unit, right?
Questions and Padlets are up on Classroom.
Okay. So just remember to go up to your Padlet and think about what you've done. And if you have, like Patty said, if you haven't had a chance yet, at least try to complete one unit or at least parts of a unit and visit our Padlet.
Yay. Love you guys. You're the best region in the whole wide world.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have a great night.
Have a great night.
So proud of you all. Great work.
Good
night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Can somebody hit record? Stop.
Yep.
For some reason.
Good night.